Hello and welcome to Tech Time today. In this episode, we're going to go over another part of the Lean Canvas. So this is another episode in our series on deconstructing the Lean Canvas. And this one, we're going to talk about cost structure and revenue. Basically, money. And this is one of those things that is the core of the business. I mean, regardless of your idea and the software and all the great stuff that you're doing, just from a pure business perspective, the business has to make money. It has, more money has to come out than goes in. So this is a talk about how to measure that, how to figure out whether your business is viable at the end of the day. You can really boil down the economics of a business to two key things. There are two key metrics, monetary metrics. So the first one is LTV. And LTV is the lifetime value of an average user. There's different ways to calculate it. Now, it is really hard to figure out that number, because you have to, by definition, in order to figure that out, you have to have a certain amount of history. You have to have seen users using your product and then churning out over time. And in order for this to be an accurate value, it has to be over a series of different cohorts. And it changes over time for sure, but you start to get a sense of it, and then you can kind of track the ups and downs. So lifetime value, in concept, pretty straightforward, I would think. But in order to figure this out, very difficult. Initially, it's somewhat guesswork, to be quite honest, especially if your product isn't actually it can be even theoretical. If your product isn't actually making money at first, but you have ideas of how to make money, then your lifetime value is zero, right? But in theory, your theoretical lifetime value could be more, but that's like just total guesswork. Ideally, you turn that theoretical to reality, and then you get some real numbers involved. And then the second big value that you need is the CAC, the customer acquisition cost. So how much does it cost you to acquire one customer on average? Typically, this is slightly easier to figure out if you are tracking your costs and expenses well, but it's still tricky. So sales and marketing, but it also could include other stuff as well. It could also be, for example, if you're using engineering as marketing and it requires developer hours, but I guess that's where it's developer hours, but it is used in service of sales and marketing. So you just got to understand what's involved here, all of the costs involved for acquiring users in general, and then divided by the total number of customers that you actually acquire. You obviously have to do a lot of tracking for this. You have to make sure that you are keeping your books correctly, but then you can get your CAC. In an ideal case, you have this as a total amount, but you also, in ideal case, you would split this out per channel, because you really want to know the acquisition per channel, so you know the viability of the overall business and the viability of that channel. So let's say it was, yes, $36 to acquire a customer in general, overall average. But let's say if you broke it down to one of your three channels, it's $20 to acquire a customer in one channel versus $40 in another channel. But maybe the LTVs, when you break it down at the channel level, is also different. Now, the ideal ratio, LTV to CAC, should be 3-to-1. If you're doing that, your business is healthy. If it's lower than that, so like your LTV is, well, for sure, if it's negative, if it's less, if your LTV is less than your CAC, then you're burning money, and that's no good. If your LTV is less than 3-to-1, so 2-to-1, whatever, you should be worried. That means you are making money. It is technically profitable, but it is risky. Like that, if things change, because you're in the negatives or the worst case scenarios, your costs can change. They could get worse. And any little fluctuation on the CAC side of things, then all of a sudden you're in the negative. Like 3-to-1, there's enough of a buffer there that it's healthy. It's going to stay there. It's be hard for it to turn negative quickly, at least. Less than that, you start to worry a little bit. More than that, it means you should be spending more money on your customer acquisition, generally speaking. Like if you want to grow, or depending on your business, because obviously if you have a bootstrap business and you just want to pull in cash for the near term to do something else, that's a whole other discussion. But generally speaking, if your objective is to grow the business, when your LTV to CAC ratio is more than 3-to-1, that's a sign you should be spending more on the acquisition side. Put more money into your channels, potentially explore other channels. And that's it as far as cost structure and revenue for the Lean Canvas. This is actually going to be the last of our series on Lean Canvas. I didn't talk about every single box here, but I talked about the main ones. I really hope you enjoyed my series on Lean Canvas. I enjoyed creating this. It's something that I use a lot, something I believe in. I really would love to hear your feedback for this episode on the revenue structure and cost stuff for LTV and CAC, but also in general about Lean Canvas, thoughts you have. I mean, certainly if I get a lot of feedback, I will create some additional videos. If there's a desire from all of you to hear about some of the other parts of Lean Canvas. Otherwise, I'm going to start moving on. I have a couple other big things queued up to talk about in the next couple episodes. So hopefully I will see you then on Tech Time Today.